Good morning, children. Let us study more about the administration and the consolidation of the Delhi Sultans. Here, how Delhi Sultans consolidated more regions towards Delhi or annexed with the kingdom. So, here, like the early sultans, the Khalji and the Tughlaq monarchs, they appointed military commanders as the governors of particular territories or the areas, provinces. Okay, provincial governors. They appointed Khalji and the Tughlaq sultans appointed military commanders are the governors of the provinces. So that very large and smaller provinces also existed in the kingdom. So these lands were called Iktas. That means the territories or provinces of the Delhi Sultanate were known as Iktas. So Ikta and their holder, who is in charge, was called Iqtadar or Mukti. Iqtadar or Mukti. So the provinces or the territories of the Delhi Sultanate were known as Iktas, and Iqtadar was the Mukti was the person who was in charge of the Iqta. So the duty of the Mukti or Iqtadas was to lead military campaigns and maintain law and order in their Iqtas, in the provinces. So military campaigns, which means they have to attack other regions and also annex with their province. Also look after the law and orders situation in their area, in their territory. So in exchanging of their military services, we know that they are military commanders. Especially for their military services, the Muktis collected the revenue of their assignments and salary. Sultan, instead of getting salary from the Sultan, these Muktis had to collect revenue in their areas. So these revenue they utilized as their salary, so for their military service. So some of them also control over the Muktis was most effective in their office was inheritable, not inheritable, and if they were assigned for the Iktas for a short period of time before being shifted, that means they had transfers also. It was not permanently fixed that one Mukti was permanently remains forever in their realm, but they had to be shifted or they were transferred after after a particular period of time, so that it was not inheritable, passing from the father to the son or from the next generation. It was not in such a way. They had to move from this place to the other places. That means they were transferred. So this there were many such kind of harsh conditions existing in the service. Sometimes also Alauddin Khilji and Muhammad in Tughlaq's period also such kind of systems existed. Accountants also were appointed by the state to check the amount of revenue collected by the Muktis. They could not be able to collect as much as revenue from the people. There were also accountants to check how much of revenue was collected by the Muktis. Also, whatever the Mukti collected, only the taxes prescribed by the state, and that kept the required number of soldiers also. For collection of revenue from the Iktas, Mukti had to appoint some of the soldiers also. So these were the especially the collection of taxes also were the how much is prescribed by the state only they were able to collect, not extra. So there will be no corruption in the governorship also. So as the Delhi Sultans brought the hinterland, we have studied they attacked the hinterlands of the cities under their control. They were forced the landed chieftains. We have studied there were some of the Samantas or the subordinate rulers, or also there were landlords which we call Zemindas. So these Samanta aristocrats and the rich landlords or the Zemindas also had to accept the authority of the Sultan, which means the Sultan has consolidated their kingdom to Delhi Sultanate, so that these Samandas or the Zamindars, they had to accept the authority of the Sultan here. So under Alauddin Khalji, the state bought the assessment and collection of land revenue under its own control. Land revenue, because they assessed the land or measured the land, the area of land, and they fixed the land revenue also. So the rights, by that time we know, we have studied already, the landlords or the Zamindars or Samandas, they also had amassed huge wealth, and also many areas of land were under their control. So these chieftains and the landlords lost the control of land under their control, so that they also had to pay taxes to the Sultan. Even these Samandas and the Zamindars also had to pay taxes to the Sultan. So some of these reasons we can find, there were also revenue collectors and assessors also appointed for assessing the land or measuring the land. Some people were appointed. At the same time, collectors also, revenue collectors also were appointed by the sultans. So some types of revenue or the taxes which were collected by the sultans during the Delhi Sultanate were especially kharaj, that was the tax collected on cultivation of crops. How much of the crops are cultivated? 50% of the peasants' produce had to be remitted to the Sultan. That was the tax known as kharaj. Other taxes also, like the tax on cattle and tax on horses also were collected by the Sultan. These were the three important types of taxes existed during the Delhi Sultanate, especially under the Khaljis and Tughlaqs. It is to remember that we know very important that large part of this subcontinent was remained outside the control of Delhi Sultans, which means especially South India. It was very difficult to control these all regions. Vast parts of India, the present day India, we know during that period it was very large, and because of different types of terrains also, it was very difficult for the Delhi Sultans to control the vast regions, far away or distant places, especially the Bengal province and also western Rajasthan region, and we know that the South India. So these all regions were very far away from Delhi, so it was difficult for the Sultan to control these provinces. Even the Gangetic plains, we know that the forested regions also, Sultanate forces could not penetrate. These regions also very damp or marshy regions and forested regions also, the army could not reach there. So local chieftains, we know that the Zamindars or the Samandas, they established their rule in these regions. So small kingdoms existed there. Independent kingdoms existed there. Sometimes rulers like the Alauddin Khalji and Muhammad Tughlaq, they could force their control in these areas only for a short duration, because later on they themselves declare independence also. So that it was not these Delhi Sultans like Khaljis or Tughlaq could not establish a permanent control over these regions. So in this period we know that Mongol rulers under Genghis Khan also invaded Transoxiana in northeast Iran region in 1219, and Delhi Sultanate faced their onslaught soon after. So 1219, Genghis Khan under the Mongol ruler, he also invaded the Transoxiana, that is in the northeast region of Iran. So after that, from Iran he further moved towards or forwarded towards India. So that here Mongol attacks on Delhi Sultanate also increased during the reign of Alauddin Khalji. So many of the Mongol rulers also started invading towards or moving towards India also. We know that So this period, many of the Muhammad bin Tughlaq's region in Delhi was also attacked by the Mongol ruler. So that we know that these all issues are also made the Delhi Sultanate weaker also. So it was also an administrative challenge towards the Delhi Sultans. Now we can find how the Ibn Battuta, a 14th century traveler from Morocco in Africa, he explained how the chieftains were in during this in Delhi Sultanate during the period of Khajis and Tughlaqs. So for how they constructed fortified themselves in mountains. They constructed the forts in mountains, all mountains which were fortified all around. There were protection in rocky, uneven and rugged surface as well as in bamboo groves also. We know that then in India the bamboo is not hollow, but it is very big. Its several parts are also intertwined that even fire cannot affect them. We know during during the period of Khalji and Tughlaqs, the smaller kingdoms which existed in the forested region, how they were able to protect themselves. So from outside attack, even the Sultan or others could not easily attack the kingdoms, smaller kingdoms within the forested regions or the Gangetic plains, because they were completely protected by the bamboo shelter in the forest. Also they had their own smaller army, and everything, water facilities, food grains, everything were available within the forest, so that they were able to protect themselves and they were able to fight with the sultans also, the army of the sultan who were coming from outside. So in the next class we will study more about how what were the difference between Alauddin Khilji and Muhammad Tughlaq's rule.